The story of the Pyramids War. A story about the conflict between the Pharaohs and the Hyksos in ancient Egypt. Deep in the eastern desert of ancient Egypt, the kingdom of the Pharaohs was living its golden days. The pyramids rose in the sky of the mountains, the Nile flowed among the fertile lands, and civilization flourished under the control of the Pharaohs. But in those distant days, there was a threat to Egypt's stability. And this threat was coming from the Hyksos, the tribes of Northeast Asia, who managed to seize parts of the lands of Egypt and establish their rule, which forces the Pharaohs to pay tribute and make concessions. After years of enslavement, the brave Pharaoh Khufu I decided to rise up in Egypt and restore its independence. The battles of war began to ignite in every corner of the earth, and the defeat of the Hyksos and the liberation of Egypt was a goal that could not be surrendered. The Egyptian army advanced quickly and bravely, and they were facing the Hyksos in fierce battles. The Pharaohs used advanced weapons and tight tactics, and they knew very well the topography of the Egyptian lands. In this violent war, he faced the fierce Hyksos leader Abu-Tu, the young Egyptian army commander, Horus, who had courage and wisdom. Horus led his army into battles without fear and gave hope to his oppressed people. The constant battles and the unremitting efforts of the Egyptian Hyksos army lead to collapse. In the final battle that took place near the huge pyramids, the land witnessed a great defeat of the Hyksos, and Egypt's restoration of its freedom and independence. After the victory, the Egyptian pharaohs were united under a strong rule, and Egypt experienced a period of stability and prosperity. The Pyramids War is remembered as a historical epic in which ancient Egypt defied slavery and achieved victory over the Hyksos. The pyramids, which were built as a symbolic victory over the Hyksos, remain one of the greatest engineering miracles in history, telling the story of the steadfastness and victory of the great people of Egypt. After the victory, the pharaohs rebuilt and restored Egypt, restoring the great city Thebes and its temples and magical places. They promoted culture, trade, agriculture, and science, and Egypt prospered amazingly in the following decades. The story of the Pyramids War recounts the real conflicts that could occur between nations and peoples throughout history. It is a reminder that freedom does not come easily and that steadfastness and sacrifice are the keys to achieving change and liberation. The story of the Pyramids War leaves us with a valuable lesson, that we can overcome difficult circumstances and achieve victory if we are determined, united and determined to achieve our goals. Since then, the Pyramids War remains engraved in the memory of history, and is considered an inspiring story of courage, steadfastness, and defiance. It is a story about the great people of Egypt, their wonderful culture and their ancient heritage. With the passage of time, ancient Egypt continued to develop and flourish under the rule of the pharaohs. The pyramids continued to stand as testament to that glorious period in history. This war and the liberation of Egypt from the grip of the Hyksos is a great achievement for the Egyptian people and their wise leadership. The pharaohs learned from that great war the value of unity, steadfastness, and sacrifice for the sake of the homeland. They built Egypt on the principles of equality and justice, as the pharaohs had a comprehensive vision of governance and development. But with the passage of time, the glory of ancient Egypt faded and its civilization disappeared under the layers of history. However, its cultural, artistic and scientific influence cannot be denied. The story of the pyramids' war and the lessons and values it carries is a precious heritage from which many generations draw strength and inspiration. In the following centuries, other civilizations emerged and conflicts and wars continued, but the history of ancient Egypt remains radiant with its lights, temples, and pyramids that speak of the courage and wisdom of the pharaohs. Thus, the story of the Pyramid War remains a testament to the strength of human will and its ability to overcome difficulties and achieve victory. It is a true historical story that deserves to be celebrated and preserved as an integral part of the world's culture and heritage. Thus, the story of the Pyramids' War and the great struggle between the Pharaohs and the Hyksos in ancient Egypt was completed. It is a historical story full of adventure, courage and resilience, and highlights the importance of freedom and independence for any nation. The story of the Pyramids' War shows us that history is witnessing great struggles and challenges, but with steadfastness and faith in the just cause and sacrifice, people can achieve victory and regain their identity and independence. This story also invites us to celebrate our historical and cultural heritage, and to learn from the lessons of the past to build a better future. It is a reminder to us that our history possesses strength and values that deserve to be celebrated and passed on to future generations. In the end, the history of the Pyramids' War remains one of the many realistic historical stories that enrich our culture and teach us a lot about man and his ability to overcome difficulties and achieve change.